What is setting the pace internationally with packaging and waste management and recycling for packaging is the German packaging ordinance that came out in the 1990s. It's commonly referred to as the green dot system. And to make a long story short, what the Germans did is they figured, hey, we're tired of having our municipal taxpayers figure out how to recycle and pay for that. And we want to create a system that will actually reduce the amount of packaging that manufacturers inflict on us. So what they did, I think very cleverly, is they simply said, manufacturers and brand owners, you are responsible for your packaging waste. We don't care what system you decide to choose, but you're going to pay for it. And the thinking there was that the companies and private sector would figure out the most efficient way of doing things. And that has had a ripple effect across the world, and in countries like Canada, we now have these things called product stewardship programs, where we're looking at Germany and some other countries and figuring out how we're going to do that here. And of course, some of the companies and industry is embracing it, some companies are fighting it, and it's all very unresolved at this point. I don't think we can rely on or expect industry just out of its own good graces to manufacture products that are more environmentally friendly or recyclable. Industry's doing this as a reaction to government policy for the most part. You'll have at any given time a certain percentage of companies that will go beyond the legal requirements for some sort of, out of their good graces. But the vast majority of environmental progress is going to be made because the public demands it through their elected officials, and policies are set that encourage environmental performance. There's no doubt about that from what I can tell. I would say that when we put materials in the blue box, the performance of different curbside recycling programs varies from place to place. But most of what goes in there does get diverted from landfill in one way or another. Where the experts get into their debates is the relative merits of recycling certain kinds of plastic. For instance, film plastic, like your plastic grocery bag, your shopping bag, may get recycled, but it may be what's called downcycling. So it may end up becoming put into plastic lumber or something like that. What we look for in environmental performance ideally is things like a glass bottle that gets recycled into another glass bottle. That's what some people consider true recycling. At its worst, what happens is things like some glass bottles get recycled, but they actually get crushed and turned into a worthless cullet, and they're used as a roadbed aggregate. And sometimes those roads are roads built within the landfill. So you and I think that it's recycled, but in some cases it's actually being used in a very low quality downcycling of that sort. So yes, things get recycled, but they don't necessarily get recycled to the standard that we would expect. You can only recycle newsprint to a certain number of times. What you start off with is a paper with long fibers, and the more you recycle it, you end up with short fibers which aren't as useful. So eventually newsprint is going to end up being recycled into boxboard or cardboard. And another consequence of newsprint recycling is that it generates a paper sludge which has to be disposed of somehow. So when we say we recycle newspapers, it's not 100% of it becoming new newspapers. There's a lot of clay and ceramic that's in the paper that ends up as a sludge, and it used to be sent to landfill, but now they're trying to find other applications for it, using it on land and as a soil amendment, and with very dubious results, I would say, questionable. Newspaper and fiber generally is one of the success stories of recycling. something like 75% by weight of what is collected in curbside recycling programs is newsprint, paper, cardboard, and boxboard. And the paper mills, which have a legal requirement to produce a certain amount of recycled content, can't get enough of the stuff. And in fact, in Canada, we are a net importer of newsprint from the United States to meet our recycled content requirements. So if anything, we need to do a better job of putting more fiber into the recycling bin or the paper box. Yeah, I would say as a rule, you'll find that most paper recycling, you know, the white paper may be recycled into newsprint, and then newsprint goes to cardboard. Things move down the value chain over time. It's possible, I guess, that some newsprint gets recycled into newsprint, but you have to assume that those sorts of things can't be recycled forever. But even if they're just recycled once, it does save a certain number of trees and a certain amount of energy that you don't have to use harvesting the raw resource from nature. So it's still worth doing. Recycle, you are reducing the overall environmental burden. And something people need to remember is that even if you recycle something, say you're a municipality and you recycle beverage containers or newspapers, and you have to pay somebody to take it off your hands. And markets fluctuate, and sometimes you make money and sometimes you lose money. But if the cost of getting rid of the material is less than the tip fee at the local landfill, you're still economically ahead. If you pay $10 to have someone cart something away, and you avoid having to pay $50 to take it to a landfill, then you're $40 ahead. That's something people often forget in the equation.